Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast. I have with me a repeat guest, Misty Linn from Core Ohio Realty Advisors. And I'm excited about this conversation because we were just chatting before we got rolling that you are the first realtor that I am coming back to and having as a guest on the podcast from the very first time around that I started doing. At the time, we called it Agent Spotlight. Yep. And, tell me more. I kind of just wanted to rebrand it, right? Because I want to get into different conversations. And this is one of them. I want to stay in touch with those that I've already, spoken with and just want to kind of see where things are at and just see what's happened since the last time we connected. So, Misty, thank you so much for jumping on here with me and getting prepared for this conversation. I actually went back and I listened to our original podcast that shared your story. And if you guys haven't heard that podcast, go back and listen to it. It was actually February of 2020. So right before all of the craziness happened in the world. And, that was one of the things I wanted to touch on, because at the end of those conversations, I always ask, what's a 1-year goal for you and what's a 5-year goal for you? And just taking some notes, the 1-year goal was back then you were starting to kind of hire some more staff help. I think at the time, at end of 2019, you had brought on a buyer's agent to start, I think, building your own team. And you were working on kind of putting systems in place to help your team members be a little bit more efficient. For example, I think you had partnered up with the staging company at that point, and you spoke about, getting a truck and all of those things. So I wanted to kind of just touch on that real quick as how did the rest of 2020 shake out with some of your 1-year goals? We'll talk about, COVID and those, how you navigate those waters. But from the 1-year goal standpoint of 2019 going into 2020, can you kind of fill us in of how your business was at that time?
Yeah. So thanks for having me on again. Just hearing, back 2019, 2020, my business has changed quite a bit. So, February going into COVID, that was the plan, right? To amp up, to hire more people, and then COVID hits, and it kind of gives you a pause. So there was a 2-week period where I was, I think with everybody was like, what is happening? What's happening in our world right now, and how is that going to affect my business? And how do I have to pivot to change my business? So I instantly thought I have to do everything virtually. We're not going to show houses anymore. Everything has to be virtual. And then, let that set for like 2 weeks, which was a good time for me too, because I was super busy. I was go, trying to put systems in place, working with Amanda Williams from Mission Design and Staging. We were just amping up that side of the business. I purchased a box truck. So we had the truck, and then COVID happens. So, those 2 weeks gave me time to really sit with myself and sit with my business to prioritize my business as well. But as you know, real estate did not slow down. If anything, we tripled our business. So it was go, again, so it was busy. I was happy. I was thriving. Business was thriving. Real estate was good. But yeah, I did hire, hired a couple buyer's agents actually. And then Amanda and I from, like I said, Mission Design and Staging, we teamed up and hit the ground running.
So during those 2 weeks of pause, and it's funny that you kind of mentioned that. I was at a leadership conference the other day, Roy Hall Jr. put on, and Debbie Penzone, the now CEO of Penzone Salon, mentioned multiple times that through the 50-year history of their business that there's been multiple pauses, right? Like, and through those pauses, it's actually allowed them to be more creative and look at different opportunities. But one of the things that you had mentioned on our previous conversation was, I think it was like 2018, you're kind of just running, and you kind of just said it as well. Like, you're just kind of going. And that was one of the big goals, was setting up systems to help your partners, whether it's team agents, brokerage, partners with stagers. I know you do a lot with investors, but really putting those systems in place to allow them to run faster themselves, right? Be a little bit more efficient, be able to produce at a higher level. But during that reflection, was there anything that changed as far as your goals? COVID 2020, like that whole year was wild for everyone. But in real estate, we thought it was probably going to go one way and not in a good way. But I think for a lot of people, it actually helped their business take off.
For sure. Yeah. No, I think for a lot of people, it helped their business take off. And so for me, number one, I bought out my business partner at my brokerage. So I own Ohio solely.
Awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's a big move.
It was a big move during a pandemic. Yeah. But it was, he was shifting more into property management. I was really amping up the investor side of things. So it just made sense on the real estate side for me to own the company and him to go do what he wanted to do, with the property management side. So purchasing Core Ohio, teaming up with stager, adding a designer, because that investor side of my business also took off. So, I mean, it was, real estate buying, selling, but then the investor side, it was, we were doing new development at that time. We were multiple levels of investing. So hiring and putting the systems in place became, top priority in order to monopolize on such a great market that we were having.
And the investment side was already running.
Yes.
Fast for you.
It was running very fast. It was, I'll say it probably was running too fast because, those 2 weeks of that slowdown of like, oh my God, what's happening with my business? What's happening in this world? What we're going to do? It allowed me to sit with myself and slow down for a second and then truly think about, do I want to be in business and, investing with all of these people? Because, there were some partnerships and investors that I was working with, like if, a name comes up over your phone and you're like, man, I gotta talk to that guy again. You probably shouldn't be working with them. But when you're running 100 miles an hour and you're just the go person, so it doesn't allow you to make those changes and, until you actually sit with yourself to say, I can't work like this anymore.
Yeah.
You don't value my time. You don't understand the investment world. So there were 8 investors that I just said, I just can't work with you any longer in this capacity.
Wow.
So,
wow. How did that, now did you just kind of pass them off to agents on your team, or was it like, and I felt the same way. So, over 2020, 2021, my whole goal was to scale out of selling real estate. Just the way our team was operating, where we were trying to get to and all of that stuff, it just made sense. But I got to that point, and kind of similar to you, of if I got to my door to go do a showing and I was already pissed off, that I had to go and do that showing, then I knew that client probably wasn't able or willing to purchase a home.
Yeah.
And during 2020 and 2021, I came up with that idea. And even to this market, like I tell agents all the time, there's 3 types of buyers. You got the qualified buyers. Yes, they can purchase a home, but they may not have everything that it takes in order to win right now. You have the the able buyers where they do have those funds, but they may not be able to pull the trigger yet, right? Like they're not comfortable with doing the appraisal gap coverage to the extent that they need, or giving the sellers, 60 days possession. And then you have the people that are just willing to do whatever it takes to get a deal done.
Yeah.
And auditing, and I know it's hard for agents, and I'm sure I don't know if it was hard for you, but auditing the clientele that you're working with is so hard to just say no to that potential business.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's where you have to value your time and your business. If you have a pause with anything, whether it's a client, it's a buyer client, selling client, anytime that you have that pause, or that that, damn, I got to deal with this person again today, you need to look at your own business and start valuing your own time. So what I like to do is I take my dollar per hour, right? So if that person is causing me grief, and it's, taking me, if they're not willing to run the systems that I have put into place, and, we've rinse and repeat, this is what we do, right? And they're like, no, but I want to do it this way. It's like, okay, then you need to work with somebody else, because this is how we're going to do it. And before, it was like, okay, we'll do it your way. Okay, we'll go ahead and do that. We'll do that. We'll do that. And, I'm running in 15 different roads, and none of them were becoming profitable, because it was just go time. And it wasn't working.
I'm smiling because, as I went back and listened to our interview from 2 years ago, you mentioned how you have a system and a process for all of your investors to follow. And, the fact that you're able to kind of just look at your business and those people that weren't following that system or that process that was causing you more, headache, heartache, stress, whatever it was, I always tell agents, like, you got to create some filters, right? Like, if they're not in alignment with how you run your business, maybe you're just not the right agent for them, and that's okay. Just go get a referral fee, send them to someone else. And, by subtracting some of those clients, you can probably go a lot faster with others that actually will do things the way that you want to conduct your business, that works, right? That you enjoy working with. That's also a big factor into it.
Yeah. Those clients that you don't want to work with are taking away from the things you actually enjoy doing. And I think COVID taught us all that is, life is too short for that. And, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and they were like, "Why? How is there just a shortage of workers?" All of a sudden, I said, "There's not a shortage of workers. It's a shortage of people doing what they actually want to do."
Yeah.
And look at McDonald's. Look at their pay increase just to get somebody in there working. Look at those other corporations where people are like, you know what? I don't want to clock in for you anymore. I don't want to do that job. And people were working from home. It's changed our whole work environment.
You're so right. I mean, that whole time period forced people and showed them that they could do what they're passionate about and make money as a entrepreneur, right? Like, people that were laid off, they're like, oh, what do I got to do, right? And that could be like, hey, I'm going to go and, flip furniture on Facebook Marketplace. That could be, I'm going to go and do X, Y, and Z. And you're right. It's not necessarily, we don't have enough workers, but I think they're just, now that time allowed them to see, like, they can actually do things that they enjoy doing and make money doing it. And I tell people, like, in real estate, like, making $100,000 in real estate to me is like working at a corporate job, but you got to make 130,000 there. I don't got to clock in, clock out. I don't have a boss. I don't have someone telling me I can't take a Friday off or, go on a 2-week trip. So one of the questions I had for you, because you have a team, you're a top performer, and I knew that you kind of went and bought out your partner, but I want to ask, when that happened, when COVID happened, I'm curious from a leadership standpoint, how did you go and tackle and handle that situation with, I don't know if you have your own team or if just the brokerage is your team, but, either your team individually or individual agents within your own brokerage?
Um, we did Tuesday huddles. So Tuesday huddles were our, Zoom, FaceTime connecting. I think at that time we started to feel disconnected with that, that human interaction. I think communication was key during COVID. Absolutely. So that having those meetings, still having consistency within your business was very, very important. We don't clock in or clock out, right? So we have to we still like accountability for what we do, and we still like to be rewarded for what we do. So that was where, and it's a brokerage as a whole. I don't necessarily just, I have my assistants and, a couple buyer's agents, but the brokerage as a whole is the team. So for me, it was just keeping everybody engaged on task. There's not this scarcity mindset. We're going to get through it. We're going to make it. I came out of 2008, still here, was licensed in 2006, went through 2008, not knowing what the hell I was doing, but I made it, right? So COVID, I was like, I got this. But I just think during that time, communication was huge.
Yeah, and I think even now, as we start to see a little bit of a shift, plateau, whatever you want to call it, same thing, right? Whether you're communicating with your agents, whether you're communicating with your clients, at the end of the day, real estate's going to still happen.
Yep.
No matter what market we're in, down, up,
no matter what rates are, it's still going to happen. People are still have to move.
Yeah, and how do you block out the noise, right? Is there anything that you do to block out the noise? Because that's the biggest thing, right? With leading other agents, not everyone's that go-getter, that driver, that top performer, and that's okay. But how do you block out the noise for them?
Yeah, that was difficult, and it's difficult to this day. I mean, there's with the social media access of, I was joking around with a friend of mine who's way into TikTok, and I mean has hundreds of thousands of followers, and just reading some of his comments, I'm like, dude, they are brutal on here. And he's like, when I posted a couple times and I was like, this is kind of stupid and people are just on here being mean. And then he's like, but if you don't have, people aren't hating on you or, saying something, then nobody's saying anything at all. So I don't want to say it's welcoming, but it's also like, you know what, if you're sitting in your home and, you have all that noise happening around you, I wish better for you. Yeah, it's nothing that you can't take that noise personally. That's on a personal side, but also in the media side of the rates and markets crashing and all these things. We know that's not true. I mean, if you've lived through the 2008 world, where, yes, the market crashed for sure. Right. We're not in that position at all. Rates are going to have to go up. Pricing is going to have to balance out. We can't just, stay at this spike. It has to level out at some point.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's, what I tell agents all the time, if you understand and focus on the income producing activities of however you want to build your business, it doesn't matter what else is going on.
It doesn't. No.
Now, the only difference is you may have to work a little bit harder to find those people, right? Yep. Some people may just fall off, right? And that's okay. Yep. You may have to work a little bit harder to find new people. But, focusing on what you can control, and that is your income producing activities to prospect and go find new people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know when we last spoke, you said one of your big goals is to really help others, whether it's real estate agents or other people. And I know during the last couple of years, you also branched outside of real estate and
Yes.
opened up another business. Can you kind of dive into that?
Yeah, that is was a huge, I guess, passion project of mine, right? So a lot of friends in the LGBTQ plus community that, during COVID, we were staying in our houses, we were working from home, and a lot of people don't have a safe space to be in. Their safe space is not home. And I found a need. One of my best friends is Chris Acquisi, also known as Virginia West in the community. And he called me and he said, do you have a warehouse space? Do you have anything where we can perform? We don't have a place to go. And I was thinking, a warehouse space? What, I'm thinking a warehouse is nothing, right? It's just concrete and cold floors. So that sparked the conversation and sparked a need, I think, in the community that was, I wanted to find a space for them. So I knew somebody that owned a hookah bar, and I was like, that's definitely not going to open anytime soon. I mean, we are not going to share mouthpieces anytime soon. So I called her, and she'd worked there as one of their bartenders. So called her and I said, hey, what do you think the owner's going to do with that hookah bar? And she's like, we were just talking about that. He's going to sell it. And I was like, see what price he wants. He came back with a much lower figure than I had anticipated, but also he was like, he realized I'm not going to open,
Yeah.
So I bought the bar from him. But setting it up differently, right? So it was a hookah lounge. So they had the DJ booth, they had the bar, but the bar was in the middle of the building. So I had to renovate that space in 3 weeks because they had a sold out show. So renovated the space, and it's called District West after the West family, and it's a safe space for everybody. So go and perform. We have open stage on Mondays. I have CCA students that come there and they study, like they just come hang out and study there because they feel comfortable there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely very, very hard in the beginning. When we're having to be 6 feet apart and the space is not that big, it was really hard. Yeah.
How awesome is that though, that during a pause in life sparked that opportunity,
for
right?
sure.
And that's kind of what Debbie Penzone's her talk was about, was pauses are going to be okay.
Yeah.
You just keep moving forward and you keep looking for opportunities, and the opportunities are going to present themselves, and there's going to be times where you can, through that pause, will allow you to reinvent yourself as well.
Yeah.
Where's that space located at?
It's right downtown. If you know where Penn's Mechanical is on Wall Street, it's literally the next parking lot over.
How's things going with it? Good?
It's going great now. Yeah. Now that we can fully open, and the Pride Month is coming up next month.
Yeah.
We do an outdoor festival there. So we close off the parking lot for 2 days, June 10th and 11th. So we have a big festival outside. It's going really well.
That's awesome. Now, are you more hands-on in that business, or are you someone that kind of likes to hire out that side and just let them run with it?
I hire it out. Yeah. That's a question I get. How do you do all the things that you do? And it's like, you have people in place to do those things for you that allow you to then run other businesses and do other things. And my biggest thing that that I'm thriving on right now is mentorship, helping other people in their business. But yeah, District West pretty much runs itself. My brother's working for me there, so somebody I trust. I had another manager when I first opened and wasn't working out. So my brother had worked at Smith & Lewinsky's for 11 years, their bar manager. And I just called him, I'm like, dude, I need you to run this bar because I can't lose my ass over here and not watch it. But I'll kill you if anything happens. So.
I heard the other day, I forget where I heard this, but we need to, this kind of just hit me right in between the eyes, but you need to hire out authority, not hire out tasks.
Yes.
You need to hire someone and just let them, hey, you're good at that. Just take it and run with it.
Yep.
Do whatever needs to be done to make it happen.
Yep.
I think a lot of people struggle with that.
A lot of people struggle with that because we're trained to be, here's your job, here's your handbook, do what the handbook says. So it doesn't allow you to be creative in that position. And I'm doing a whole shift right now within my own team. I sat down with each individual person and I said, what is it that you're passionate about? What do you love doing? Tell me what you do day to day.
Yep.
Tell me what you like doing and tell me what you absolutely hate doing. And every time I ask you to do that, you're like, I don't want to do that, but Misty asked me to do it, So, and I'm shifting my team right now because, come to find out, my assistant doesn't really like all the emails and all the back and forth with the agents. Kind of gives him anxiety. So I'm like, well, I don't want you being anxious, So when you look at your team as a whole, I have a good team. I have good, valuable people that come to work every day. But if they're not truly happy, I never want to put somebody in the position that I was in, working a 9-to-5 job where my alarm goes off and I press snooze until the very last second. And then I have to get up and go to that job. I want you to wake up and be like, I get to go to work today.
Yeah. No, we're in such alignment on that. Obviously, like our team, we built it based off of the internet leads, and that's not for everyone. But whether it's agents on our team or agents that I coach, it's what do you enjoy doing? Because I can show you how to build real estate based around the activities that you enjoy doing, and also what's your personality like.
Yeah.
For me, you can't catch me at a networking event. It's just I would not thrive. I never went to networking events. I never focused on doing open houses. Some people have that gift of having a conversation and building that relationship, within 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So, if that's your gift, let's focus on those activities that are going to, because it all works in real estate. And I know that was one of your big things, last time we spoke, was really helping agents grow their business.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I launched Link, which is, so Link to me, the name Link is linking people together. Right. So, and when I was trying to find a name for it, I thought of my grandma. My grandma was the link to our family. No matter what family feud was going on, no matter what you did during the week, every Sunday we got together for dinner. So I remember that as, a young girl, and grandma was the link to that. So when grandma passed away, we kind of stopped doing that. So that's where the name Link came from, and linking other like-minded people in business. No matter if you're in real estate, if you're a CEO of some other company, or if you're wanting to shift and you're wanting to do something different, it's just getting like-minded people together. And we had our fourth one was yesterday.
That's awesome. Are you doing a monthly or weekly or?
I'm doing it every other month. Okay. So it's the second Wednesday every other month, and then I have the Link mentorship, and that's more of a buy-in program. Yeah. And that is every Sunday, 7 p.m., a Zoom call with me. And we just really dissect your business.
That's awesome.
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I did not know that part. Now, did you create that in the last couple of years?
So this is our fourth Link event. So it's been the past 6 months.
That's awesome. Yeah. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you.
And I know the last conversation we had was around this because, there's so many transactions that happen on market that there's no reason why we can't help each other. For what I like to say, and I always tell agents, like, anything that I've done or our team has done, we've just copied from others. So I copied this, right? Community over competition.
Yep.
And what works for me, I'm going to share with other agents, no matter where they're at in their business, and show you
Mhm.
exactly how we went from zero to whatever. And here's how I think of things. And that's just awesome that you're kind of building out that program, and providing that resource.
It's really cool. I mean, in the Link Mentorship Program, in literally 3 weeks, I have a lady who works for, she's a lender, right? And she wanted to get into the investing world, but her and her husband were, they had some debt, and she didn't really know what to do with,
Yeah.
how to start investing. And in 3 weeks, she's already invested with me as a gap funder for some of my projects. And, we're going to close out her first project, and she's going to make 25K on that. And she's like, I'm quitting my job. But it's
And
really cool to see that excitement,
yeah, and that's the thing is, I was talking to another agent that I coach, and he's building a team, and navigating those waters of, as a team lead, you have to keep in mind that you're responsible now for other people's lives and livelihood.
Yep.
And there's
Yeah.
some things that, I'm working on with him of changing mindset a little bit around, kind of where to allocate dollars to. And, he built his
Mhm.
business one way. And when you have a team, it's just not always that simple to build it that way. And, um, it goes back to like when you're helping someone, it's life-changing things that we're helping them do. If
Yeah.
it's like in this case, right? Like, hey, invest some money, with me. I have this program or whatever it is, 25 grand back, that can
Hmm.
be life-changing opportunity,
Absolutely.
right? Because now it just opens up another round, right? And then another
Yep.
round. And I think sometimes we get lost. That's kind of always in the back of the mind, but we don't think about that, right? Like, if I can help someone transition from a career that they hate into real estate in 12 months,
Yeah.
and then from there scale their business up even further,
Yep.
that's
And,
life
and
changing, not just for them, but for their family and everyone else around them.
yeah, and that's just it. It's life changing. The conversations that, every Sunday, 7 p.m., it was like 7 p.m. is like, is that too late? Is that, but everyone looks forward to the call. We have great high value conversations, and I can start to see just from the first conversation into, where we're at right now, I can see how their business is changing, how, their relationships are changing, and how their mindset is changing. I mean, it's all about mindset. And, once you change that mindset, you start to change your own life.
Yeah. And that is just being around like-minded people and changing your circle,
Yep, absolutely.
kind of like
Yep.
auditing our clients. You got to audit your circle. I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah, huge.
And I know we have a couple minutes left, but I wanted to ask you future plans, future goals. I know you got a lot going on, some things
Yeah.
that changed over the last couple of years. Anything big on the horizon?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the mentorship stuff. I'm going to speak for the first time in Miami in
Nice.
a conference. So I'm doing that Monday and Tuesday. We'll see how that goes. That'll be my first time, getting on stage with people. There's people coming in from everywhere. So I think that's pretty cool. And I'm going to I'm doing the mentorship I have set up is a 3-month program every Sunday at 7 o'clock. Do it for 3 months. Have another group to do it for 3 months, and then we all get together and do a bigger mastermind. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love that. Also, I just helped my partner with launching Studio West. That's a dance program for kids that don't want to go to a typical dance class, and that's been going great. So looking for studio space for her right now. So we're working on a couple of those things, and really just launching the Link Mentorship Program. Sticking with
Wow.
that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I wanted to follow up. I know one of your big goals from the last time was buying a property in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hit that goal?
No.
Is it still a goal?
A second home, I will say, is a goal.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I was just in the Dominican Republic with like 14 other investors, and we called her the house mom. But she lives in New York, has a house in Pennsylvania, and then also runs these Airbnbs in the Dominican Republic. So we were, she took us, around a couple Airbnbs. And I'm like, I mean, maybe this is the place to be. I mean, real estate's so cheap, building so cheap. But I say the pricing in Florida right now is insane. I have a buddy his budget's 1.4 million. They can't find anything. They're getting beat out for cash offers, and I'm just like, I'm not messing with that right now.
Yeah.
So
have you looked into Airbnbs?
Yeah.
Is that kind of like your jam, or?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Some people are like, hey, I like that. Like for me, I don't necessarily like long-term buy and holds. It's not exciting to me. I need like that higher risk, higher reward, flip or Airbnbs. And that's something that Airbnb is something that I'm starting to really look into with my wife. There's some other people on our team and around me that are doing it and having great success with it. So
yeah, I have a couple Airbnbs. It's funny, I was really, really heavy into that right before COVID. I had 3 properties that were Airbnbs. And then you go, 2 months, 3 months without any income, but the mortgage is due. I'm like, I gotta sell these. So, and I was able to sell those at a higher price than I ever thought that I would have. So I sold them. Some people were like, well, you panic sold. You shouldn't have sold. I'm like, I actually made great money on them. I didn't panic sell anything. But now I'm gearing that back up. So I have a 3-unit on Brighton Road, and kind of what I'm doing is my multifamilies, I'll put a long-term tenant on one side and then I'll Airbnb the other side. So I consistently know that the mortgage is paid.
Yeah.
And then the Airbnb is just cash flowing.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you jumping on with me and catching up. It's awesome to hear all of the success. You got,
Thank you.
The core Ohio, the real estate stuff, the investor stuff, Link, if you guys are interested in that mentorship, make sure that you hit Misty up. Her email is at the bottom scrolling. If you're listening in, it's misty@mistylinn.com is her best email. You got District West. Studio West. Studio West. So, if you guys are, looking to be a part of her community, make sure that you reach out to her. If you're looking to buy and sell here in Columbus, make sure you reach out to her. If you want to invest, make sure that you message Misty. Misty, thank you so much for jumping on with me.
Yeah, thank you, John. Yep, always appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, and I look forward to continuing seeing you grow.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, I'll talk
Next
to you
time
later.
we talk, I'll have that second home.
There you go. There you go.
All right.
Alrighty. See ya.
Thank you. See ya. Bye-bye.